All right, buckle up because today we are diving into a story that sounds like it was ripped straight from a blockbuster movie script, but I promise you, it's a chillingly real account of modern-day injustice and utterly spectacular payback. Imagine this: you've worked your entire life to build an empire, amassed incredible wealth, and now you decide to treat yourself. You walk into an exclusive, high-end boutique, the kind with velvet ropes, glittering displays, and an air of untouchable luxury. You're ready to splurge, to purchase a truly exquisite piece. But instead of being greeted with warmth and service, you're judged, you're dismissed, you're made to feel utterly unwelcome, as if you don't belong, simply because of how you look. How would that make you feel? The shame, the anger, the profound violation of your dignity. It's infuriating, isn't it? Most of us in that humiliating moment would probably walk out, maybe write a scathing online review, or perhaps unleash a furious social media rant. We'd process the anger, lick our wounds, and vow never to return. But our protagonist today? Her response was far beyond a mere complaint letter or an online expose. Her response was an act of such audacious, strategic financial power that it didn't just change the dynamic of that single boutique. It fundamentally changed the entire landscape of that retail space. Because just moments later, literally 5 minutes after being told to leave, she didn't just buy the boutique, she bought the entire mall where it resided. Yes, you heard that right. This is not just a story of revenge. It's an epic tale of poetic justice that sent shockwaves through the entire retail and real estate world. Today, we're diving deep into a viral story that has ignited heated, crucial debates about racial bias in luxury retail, the appalling audacity of snap judgments and assumptions, and the incredible, often underestimated, power of unexpected wealth. This isn't merely about a rude sales associate or a bad shopping experience. It's a powerful microcosm of systemic issues that affect millions. The premise is stark and infuriating. A highly successful, discerning black woman was allegedly profiled, unjustly judged by her appearance, and condescendingly told to leave an upscale boutique. Her immediate jaw-dropping reaction was an act of ultimate financial power, turning a moment of profound disrespect into an unforgettable triumph. This story is going to challenge your perceptions, spark your outrage, and ultimately leave you cheering. In this comprehensive, in-depth video, we're going to meticulously break down every single aspect of this infuriating incident. We'll establish the precise timeline of events, explore the painful, persistent context of racial profiling that continues to plague the luxury retail sector, and then, of course, we'll reveal the epic, triumphant aftermath of her incredible power move. We'll examine the ethical implications. Before we unravel every shocking detail of this incredible, impactful story, do me a huge favor. If you appreciate in-depth analysis and compelling investigative storytelling, please smash that like button right now. It truly helps our channel reach more people and ignite these crucial conversations. And if you're new here and want to stay updated on these kinds of critical deep dives into real-world stories that challenge our perspectives, then hit that subscribe button and, crucially, ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. All right, settle in, clear your mind, because this story is a masterclass in how to respond when you're dismissed simply for being you. Our protagonist in this astonishing narrative is Ms. Serena Jenkins, a name that, until recently, was primarily celebrated in the discreet, high-stakes world of Silicon Valley tech ventures and major metropolitan real estate development. Now, her name is synonymous with an audacious act of financial retaliation. Ms. Jenkins isn't just rich. She is a self-made tech entrepreneur who built multiple successful startups from the ground up, and a shrewd real estate magnate with a diversified portfolio spanning commercial and residential properties across several continents. She embodies quiet wealth, the kind that doesn't need flashy logos or ostentatious displays to prove its existence. She's known for her discerning taste, her impeccable yet often understated style, and her typical low-key approach to shopping. Unlike some who flaunt their wealth, Ms. Jenkins prefers privacy and authenticity. She might arrive in comfortable, casual attire, perhaps with minimal makeup, because her confidence comes from her achievements, not from external validation. This unassuming exterior, however, often became a magnet for superficial judgments, a reality that would dramatically play out on this fateful day. Her genuine intent on this particular outing was to make a significant purchase, but she would soon discover that her buying power was irrelevant to eyes clouded by prejudice. The specific setting for this incident was elegance and style, a boutique that prided itself on being an epitome of luxury. This wasn't just any store. It was a notoriously exclusive, high-end establishment nestled within the Grand City Mall. Known for its meticulously curated collection of designer, haute couture, rare vintage jewelry, and one-of-a-kind accessories. Its reputation preceded it. Velvet ropes often demarcated VIP sections. Intimidating glass displays guarded their most precious items, and an air of almost condescending exclusivity permeated every corner. The boutique's ambiance was a carefully constructed fortress designed to awe and intimidate. Imagine soft, hushed lighting that made every diamond sparkle, plush carpets that swallowed footsteps, and the subtle, expensive scent of rare perfumes. The sales associates were notoriously chic, often intimidate. Imagine soft, hushed lighting that made every diamond sparkle, plush carpets that swallowed footsteps, and the subtle, expensive scent of rare perfumes. The sales associates were notoriously chic, often with an air of aloofness, meticulously trained to identify and cater only to a specific, perceived elite clientele. It was a place where unspoken judgments were passed instantly, and where, unfortunately, Ms. Jenkins would find herself on the wrong side of those silent assessments. Her genuine purpose for visiting that day was straightforward. She was reportedly looking for a specific rare designer piece for an upcoming international gala, a true statement item that few could afford. Or perhaps she was simply browsing for a new wardrobe to refresh her collection of investment pieces, or even considering a high-value purchase like a rare, limited edition handbag that had just arrived. Her intent was clear. Her funds were ready, but her appearance, in the eyes of those inside, would inexplicably disqualify her. The first chilling signs of disrespect, according to Ms. Jenkins' account, appeared almost immediately upon her entry. Despite her dignified presence, she recounted feeling deliberately ignored as she browsed. While other, typically non-black customers were greeted with effusive smiles and immediate offers of assistance, Ms. Jenkins found herself being given suspicious, sidelong glances. She noticed she was being subtly followed by staff, a tactic often used on suspected shoplifters rather than legitimate high-value clients. It was as if her very presence, despite her calm demeanor and elegant, if understated, attire, triggered an immediate unspoken red flag in their minds. The situation rapidly escalated when Miss Jenkins actually tried to engage. She reportedly picked up a high-value item, perhaps a diamond-encrusted watch displayed in a locked case, or a silk gown draped elegantly on a mannequin, clearly signaling serious interest. When she politely asked a detailed, informed question about the piece's provenance, materials, or designer, hoping to signal her serious intent and knowledgeable eye, the response she received was glacial. The sales associate, or perhaps even the manager on duty, reportedly met her with an undeniably cold, patronizing attitude. There were thinly veiled comments like, coldly condescending, "Are you sure this is within your budget, ma'am?" Or disdainfully patronizing, "Perhaps you'd find something more suitable in our more accessible collections." These were not helpful suggestions. They were thinly disguised insults, designed to make her feel out of place, unable to afford the items she was touching. Miss Jenkins, remarkably, remained calm. She tried to express her genuine interest, perhaps even attempting to clarify her credentials or intent. But she was met with growing suspicion, dismissive hand gestures, and an almost palpable disdain. The situation devolved shockingly quickly into a blatant demand to leave. She was told outright, coldly, "Perhaps this isn't the right store for you," or dismissively, "We don't have anything in your size or style," even without asking, or in some accounts the devastatingly direct, sternly, "Please leave, we cannot assist you here." The message was unmistakable. Haughtily, "You don't belong here, and we don't want your business." So the fundamental question that echoed in the aftermath of this incident was questioning why. Why would a high-end boutique turn away a potential multi-million-dollar sale? The answer, quickly and widely concluded, was gravely, chillingly simple. Blatant racial profiling. Solemnly, this isn't just speculation, it's a deeply unfortunate reality. This incident powerfully highlights what racial profiling in retail often looks like, particularly in luxury spaces. It manifests as Black customers being disproportionately followed by security or staff, being frustrated, ignored when seeking assistance, being annoyed, questioned about their ability to pay despite their appearance, or being implicitly or explicitly assumed to be disgusted shoplifters or simply not wealthy enough to be in such establishments. It's the disapproving, insidious look test, where preconceived notions about race and wealth combine to deny basic respect and service. The assumption that someone, derisive tone, doesn't look like they can afford it is a pervasive and damaging stereotype that disproportionately targets Black consumers in luxury retail. This situation highlights how racial bias creates a hostile environment, sadly, stripping individuals of their dignity simply because they don't fit a narrow, often white-centric, mold of what a luxury consumer should look like. Miss Jenkins, a woman of immense financial power, was reduced to a stereotype, an intruder purely because of her race. Appalled, this incident lays bare the thoughtful, uncomfortable truth about implicit bias. The unconscious attitudes or stereotypes that subtly, yet profoundly, affect our understanding, actions, and decisions. For Black individuals, particularly Black women who are incredibly successful and wealthy like Miss Jenkins, there's often a deeply ingrained societal bias where their wealth, their purchasing power, or their legitimate presence in high-end spaces is consistently frustrated tone questioned, doubted, or simply not immediately recognized. They are often perceived through a disapproving lens of suspicion, unlike their white counterparts who might be granted immediate access and deference. Observational tone. The media often portrays wealth in very specific, often homogeneous ways. These ingrained visual cues contribute to unconscious biases, making it, regretfully, difficult for some individuals, particularly those in service roles, to perceive wealth outside of those narrow stereotypes. This unfortunate reality means that a Black woman, despite owning a business empire and carrying the financial capacity to buy anything in the store, can still be subjected to the profound indignity of thoughtful, carrying the financial capacity to buy anything in the store, can still be subjected to the profound indignity of being perceived as an outsider, an imposter, or simply not belonging in a space that profits from wealth. It's this deep-seated, often unconscious, bias that directly led to the catastrophic misjudgment made by elegance and style staff. Short pause. Now this is where the story shifts from a moment of profound injustice to an astonishing display of strategic power. Most people, after such a humiliating public ordeal, being dismissed and told to leave a store where they intended to spend serious money, would retreat, process the anger, perhaps call friends to vent, or spend days drafting a scathing online review. But Ms. Serena Jenkins is not most people. She is a titan of industry, a shrewd negotiator, and a strategic genius. There was no hesitation, no self-doubt, no period of agonizing over what to do next. Her response was immediate, determined, chillingly calm, and utterly ruthless in its precision. She didn't just walk away from the boutique fuming. In fact, she reportedly stepped outside the store, took a deep breath, and made a series of rapid phone calls. Her first call wasn't to complain to the boutique management, nor was it to write a Yelp review. Her first call was directly to her real estate and acquisitions team. This immediate, decisive action speaks volumes about her resolve, her understanding of her immense financial power, and her zero-tolerance policy for such blatant acts of disrespect and discrimination. She moved from personal insult to strategic corporate action in mere seconds, setting in motion an irreversible chain of events. The genius of Miss Jenkins' response was that she didn't just want to buy the boutique that had insulted her. She immediately saw a much bigger, more impactful picture. Her initial thought process, likely lightning fast, was thoughtful. Why just punish this store when I can address the entire ecosystem that allows such prejudice to thrive. This led to the audacious yet brilliant strategy of identifying the boutique's location within a larger property, the entire shopping mall. She realized the immense leverage and poetic justice that would come from owning the entire retail complex. Urgent. Her highly specialized legal and financial teams, accustomed to multi-million and billion-dollar deals, mobilized at lightning speed. This wasn't a standard real estate transaction. It was an expedited, top-priority acquisition. They immediately began identifying the mall's current ownership structure, its financial health, any outstanding debts, and the potential for a swift, overwhelming acquisition. Teams flew in, lawyers burned the midnight oil, and financial analysts crunched numbers. The logistical nightmare of acquiring an entire sprawling retail complex in such a short time frame became Ms. Jenkins' personal mission, executed with unparalleled efficiency. She was essentially saying, "You judge me by my appearance? Watch me redefine your entire reality." And then came the moment that reverberated across the global financial and retail sectors, the dramatic reveal of the acquisition. After rapid-fire negotiations that spanned less than a day, involving a swift transfer of immense funds and the preparation of complex legal documents, the news broke to the unsuspecting parties. The silence before the storm was deafening. Mall management, and certainly the staff and owners of Elegance and Style, had no idea the earthquake that was coming. Just hours later, what felt like mere minutes to those directly involved in the boutique, the astonishing news broke. Ms. Serena Jenkins, the very woman who had been condescendingly told to leave the boutique, had acquired outright ownership of the entire sprawling retail complex, now officially rebranded as the Grand City Mall. Elegance and Style was no longer an independent, exclusive establishment. It was now a mere tenant, directly under the ownership and control of the woman they had so cruelly dismissed. The irony, the poetic justice, was breathtaking. What followed was as swift and decisive as her decision to buy. The very boutique that had so arrogantly dismissed her now found itself directly accountable to her. The outcome for Elegance and Style was immediate and severe. Depending on the precise legal maneuvers, what followed was either a swift eviction notice, giving them mere days to vacate, or a direct, irrevocable order for the entire staff of Elegance and Style to be terminated on the spot, and the boutique itself to be either immediately closed down or strategically rebranded under Zenith Properties Management. Imagine the faces of the sales associates and managers who had dismissed her. Now jobless, their stores shuttered, all thanks to the woman they judged. The power dynamic had not just shifted, it had catastrophically inverted. The institution that had projected an aura of impenetrable exclusivity and power now found itself utterly owned and directly controlled by the very woman it had attempted to exclude and humiliate. It was a masterclass in financial power, a real-life lesson delivered with devastating precision, confirming that true wealth and power often lie in places unseen and are wielded by those least expected. As expected, the initial response within the mall, and specifically the boutique, was a mixture of absolute shock, widespread panic, and sheer disbelief. The staff of Elegance and Style, who had been so arrogant just hours before, were reportedly in a state of utter disarray. The boutique's original owners, who perhaps enjoyed their perceived exclusivity, found themselves in a sudden, desperate scramble, facing the immediate loss of their business. Even the mall's previous management and other tenants likely felt a jolt of anxiety and awe at the sudden, unprecedented change of ownership. The atmosphere transformed from business as usual to one of frantic uncertainty and silent awe at Miss Jenkins' raw power. But the news of this astonishing turn of events was impossible to contain. The story leaked immediately, becoming an instant global sensation that transcended business pages and exploded across every social media platform. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere was abuzz. Hashtags like #RevengeIsSweet, #Bought the mall, #racism in retail, and #Serena Jenkins began trending worldwide, with millions of users sharing their outrage, their elation, and their own personal experiences of racial discrimination in various service industries. The common sentiments were clear and resonated deeply. This is the ultimate clapback. And finally, someone with power showed them what happens when you underestimate black excellence. This wasn't just a news story. It was a cultural phenomenon, a fantasy of justice realized for countless individuals. Major news outlets, from prestigious business journals like the Wall Street Journal to lifestyle magazines, and every mainstream news channel, picked up the story with voracious intensity. Everyone was dissecting the incident, interviewing retail experts, social justice advocates, and financial analysts, debating its profound ethical, social, and economic implications. The narrative became an undeniable symbol of poetic justice, highlighting the stark realities of prejudice in a compelling, unforgettable way. This incident, though unique in its dramatic and high-stakes resolution, is far more than an isolated case of profound disrespect. It critically highlights the pervasive issue of systemic racism and insidious classism that continues to plague high-end retail. In these environments, there often remains an unconscious bias where certain demographics, particularly black individuals, are simply not perceived as high-value consumers, legitimate shoppers, or even wealthy enough to belong in such exclusive spaces. They are often subjected to scrutiny, dismissal, or outright hostility, purely based on appearances and harmful stereotypes. This demands a brutally honest look at corporate accountability and mandatory training. What responsibility do major retail brands and mall operators have to not only implement diversity and inclusion training, but ensure it genuinely combats deep-seated, implicit biases among all their staff, from the sales floor to top management? This incident is a deafening wake-up call for comprehensive, effective, and truly transformative training that goes beyond a mere checkbox exercise. It's about cultivating a culture where every customer, regardless of their skin color, perceived status, or attire, is treated with respect and genuine service. Finally, Ms. Jenkins' case powerfully illustrates the unique power of strategic wealth and decisive action. Her immense fortune and her strategic mindset allowed her to deliver a truly unique and public form of justice, contrasting sharply with the vast majority of individuals who experience similar, painful instances of racial or class bias in everyday consumer interactions. For many, this story lives as a fantasy realized, a moment where immense personal power was wielded to directly confront and dismantle a localized manifestation of prejudice. It highlights the vast disparity in the ability to fight back, making her act not just a personal victory, but a powerful, albeit rare, symbol of what's possible when resources meet resolve. So, from a deeply humiliating dismissal in a high-end boutique, triggered by nothing more than baseless prejudice, to the astonishing, unprecedented acquisition of the entire shopping mall, Miss Serena Jenkins's story stands as an epic tale of poetic justice, strategic financial power, and a resounding victory over blatant disrespect. So, from a deeply humiliating dismissal in a high-end boutique, triggered by nothing more than baseless prejudice, to the astonishing, unprecedented acquisition of the entire shopping mall, Miss Serena Jenkins's story stands as an epic tale of poetic justice, strategic financial power, and a resounding victory over blatant disrespect. We want to hear directly from you, our incredible community. This is a story with no easy answers, and your unique, nuanced perspectives are incredibly valuable. What are your thoughts on Miss Jenkins's shocking experience and her swift, powerful, and utterly unforgettable response? Do you believe she was absolutely justified, sending a necessary message that will resonate far beyond that mall? Or do you think she went too far and perhaps acted with undue harshness? Share your detailed perspectives, your arguments, and any similar experiences you've had in the comments section below. Let's continue this vital and important conversation. And if this video sparked a thought, resonated with your experiences, or simply opened your eyes to a critical issue, please do me a huge favor. Give it a big thumbs up. Share this video far and wide with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Let's amplify this discussion and bring more thoughtful analysis to these viral moments. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button right now and ring that notification bell so you never, ever miss our next investigative deep dive. We're always here to break down the biggest stories, explore the complex issues, and help you understand the forces shaping our rapidly changing world. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.